Hello, everyone. I'm Bo from Brutal Commentary, and today I'll be breaking down our first fight for UFC Seattle, Washington, coming to us this Saturday, March 28th. Overall, I gotta say, on paper, I don't think this is as good as UFC London. Just like strictly just looking at it on paper, there's some gems on this card. Don't get me wrong. I like Julian Erosa versus. Yeah, one second here. Lerona Douglas. I think that would be a good fight. Alexa Grasso, Macy Barber. That could be something. Their first fight was, I thought, pretty entertaining. Mansur Abdul Malik versus Yusri Balgorian. I really like. And some other gems. I also like some of the other fighters on this card. I like Chase Hooper. Inacio Bahamondes versus Tawfiq Musayev should be interesting. Of course, it all really care. The biggest thing on this card is the main event: Israel Adesanya versus Joe Pyfer. Definitely the most important fight on the card. It will determine whether is Adesanya past his best days, or can he at least put on a y'all must have forgotten type performance, or will Joe Pyfer climb up the ranks? Because this is 4 versus 14. You rarely see this type of leap in rankings wise, but it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. But with that said, let's look at the first fight on our card, which is Alexia Thainara versus Bruna Brasil. This got the Anthony Smith Roman Dolidze treatment, because this fight was originally Nicole Cagliari versus Carla Foro. I forget how to pronounce it properly. But then Cagliari pulled out, so in came Stephanie Lucindo. Then Fior pulled out, so then Alexia Thainara stepped in. And then finally, Stephanie Luciano had to withdraw, and came in Bruna Brasil. I'll say this now, this card was filled with a lot of pullouts, unfortunately. And this is one of them. So now we have Alexia Thainara versus Bruna Brasil. Like I said, the Smith Dolidze treatment right here. This should be an interesting fight. Kind of straightforward, I would think. Both have tools. Both are fairly well-rounded. But the difference comes down to how often they actually use said tools. Now, looking at our two fighters, starting with Bruna Brasil. She's currently 11-6-1 as a professional, 3-2 in her last 5 fights. Been trading wins and losses. For example, looking at her last 5, lost a decision to Luma Lumbume, then looked great against Molly McCann, then had a disheartening loss against Kong Wang, then beat Ming She last August. That's her last win. And then most recently, literally this February, or about 7 weeks ago, oh no, I take it back, 6 weeks ago, lost to Ketlin Souza in a fight where she clearly had some of the tools to win, just like never really pulled the trigger much. Now, looking at Alexia Thainara, she's currently 13-1 as a professional, 5-0 in her last 5 fights. In the UFC, she's currently 2-0, where she submitted Molly McCann last March, and then most recently beat Luma Lumbumbe in a pretty dominant decision, I would say, last September. Alexia Thainara looks like an interesting prospect at 115 pounds. She's good, I think, and clearly has some skills. And if we're being honest, right, Luma Lumbumbe, she fought both of them. Bruna Brasil lost to her. Thainara beat her. So who knows? Maybe we get some MMA math. But for one thing I can say is Thainara is a good prospect at strawweight. Now, getting down to our breakdown. Starting with Bruna Brasil. She's physical in the sense that she's going to be an awkward matchup for a lot of strawweights because of her size and reach. She's 5'6" with a 65.5-inch reach. That's usually a problem for most of women's strawweights because they're on the relatively shorter side. Thainara, for example, being 5'4", is 2 inches shorter, but she actually has a better reach at 67. So she has a 1.5-inch reach advantage over Brasil. Now, for Brasil, she is, like I said, tall, lanky, and uses her reach well when she actually lets her hands go. Her striking is pretty solid and pretty technical, especially good at intercepting strikes. Like, I love the knees to the body she landed on Ketlin Souza, the body kicks that she landed on Molly McCann, that they were just punishing, and then just long-range strikes in general. When she's active, Brasil can be effective at controlling distance and picking her shots well. But here's the problem. She's just too inactive or gun shy, I should say. There are stretches where Brazil just doesn't pull the trigger, and you see her opposition march her down, pressure her to the back of the fence, and then unload with offense. So you just see a lot of times Bruna Brasil just get outworked on the feet or controlled with wrestling. And that lack of output is just cost her. She's just too gun shy. That's just always been Bruna Brasil's problem. And it seemingly will just continue being her problem until she learns to, step on the gas a bit more. Now, looking at Alexia Thainara, she's quite literally just the opposite. She's more aggressive, more willing to engage, and much more consistent with her output. Thainara, she's a good athlete with a well-rounded game. On the feet, she uses her length pretty well. Even though she's 5'4", she has a pretty lanky type limb. Sorry, she has lanky limbs. Has a very Muay Thai-esque style of striking. Very long limb Muay Thai. Long kicks in range, elbows in close, or hell, elbows intercepting a pressuring opponent, and good forward pressure herself. On the ground, Thainara's got pretty good jiu-jitsu. I know it's easy to submit Molly McCann, but doing it in a round, we're just simply taking the back and applying the rear naked choke as fast as she did. Thainara's got good jiu-jitsu for sure. Comfortable in the scrambles and takes full advantage when the fight hits the mat. The biggest difference in her mindset, too, is that I don't think a Marauder would be accurate, nor would I think a Bruiser would be accurate. But technically wise, Thainara is good, but she's very good as a Marauder. I guess Marauder would be it. For forward pressure, she pushes the action forward. She's the one initiating contact first. So that marauding-like style would make sense. So she's not a bruiser or a brute. She has good technique to be called that. So for this fight just comes down to activity versus patience. I can see Bruna Brasil having the tools to make this competitive. As long as this fight stays on the feet and Bruna Brasil lets her striking go, she can have success at range. And I could see it being tricky for Thainara to close distance, especially with those intercepting knees to the body. At the same time, if they were to get in the clinch range, I could see Bruna Brasil having maybe a better technical clinch and good elbows, same as Thainara. But if she falls into those inactive stretches, Thainara is going to take over because Thainara is going to be the one to move forward, throw more, and just create more moments. And, in a damage trumps all system, the one who's also initiating the constant aggression is going to look much better in the judge's eyes and just in general look better as the fight goes on. So while Bruna Brasil is, you could definitely say more measured on the feet, she's definitely more technical. But Thainara is just more active and aggressive. And in fights where one fighter hesitates and the other is going to push the pace, unless that one is like a Leon Edwards where they have such good timing, they could land some sort of counter shot that makes them pay. I don't think Bruna Brasil has the power nor the willingness to engage that's going to allow her to hit Thainara with that type of strike. So for my official prediction, I'm going to go with Alexia Thainara. I think her aggression, output, and just willingness to engage should allow her to outwork Bruna Brasil over 3 rounds. I could see a submission too. She's got that in her back pocket, but I think a decision is more likely. Bruna Brasil is pretty hard to finish. As much as I say her inactivity is, the detriment to her, she is at least very good defensively, at least not getting knocked out nor submitted. So once again, I'm picking Alexia Thainara, and I'm going to pick her via decision. But with that being said, that's been my breakdown of this fight. If you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, leave a comment down below on who you think is going to win. But until then, I've been Bo from Brutal Commentary. I thank you all for listening. And remember, stay calm, stay respectful, and enjoy the violence. I'll see y'all next time.